You're still watching the Dairy Lounge here on DreamTV and BTV. My name is Renji Stella and I'm here with Alex Sibo. Get to stream live on www.imc.ug. You can also follow us on all our social media platforms. Be part of the show. Send in your comments so that we know what you think about all the stories that we get to discuss here. Our social media platforms will be put right below the screen so that you know how to follow us all across. But on our personals, are you on TikTok? Eh? Ngasikulaba ngakho.
Nonya I'll sim Q1.
Wanji tata?
Al is Alex. AL. Sim is Simba. SIM.
Okay. All right. You can follow him on TikTok. But now we move on to the next story. And this is truly just a follow-up on something that we reported yesterday, where the ex-prime minister in Mauritius was arrested on corruption charges. Now, the former Prime Minister, Pravid, has been released on bail following his dramatic arrest, which was on last week over money laundering charges. Now, he had been detained along with 3 others after the anti-corruption agency said it had seized suitcases of cash and luxury watches in raids on 10 locations, including Jagannath's home. Now, this former prime minister, his lawyer came out to say that he denied the charges against him, and the arrest came 100 days after his landslide defeat in elections, with his successor Naveen vowing to root out corruption. But few Mauritians expected the Financial Crimes Commission to move so quickly or to arrest the former prime minister on such serious charges. Now, some people took to the streets of the capital, that is Port Louis, to celebrate by lighting firecrackers, while a handful of his supporters turned out outside of court on Monday to show their solidarity with him and chanting his name, which is Praveen. Now, the wife was also taken in custody and later released after she had been questioned for hours by investigators, and this all happened on Saturday. Now, the bail, which was set late on Sunday, is at $32,000.
That's close to 120 million shillings.
Woo.
But they found plenty of money, $2.4 million in different currencies in his house, including pounds, dollars, dirham, and so on and so forth. Now, my question is, if it is clean money, why isn't it in the bank?
Is it access? Yeah, you know, with banks, actually, I know that there is a section for, how do they, bulk? I know there is, but with the bank comes
There's
a lot
also,
of...
for VIPs, I think.
So where you can...
One time, I was in the bank. I was distributing money. I had bulk money. Or seemingly bulk money that I was distributing to different accounts and so on. Of different people, not my own accounts. But there was my share, but there was also other people's accounts and so on. Now, while there, I was scared. I thought everybody was looking at me until I saw a former minister also asking where the bulk section is. And no, she was also in the line with me. Yeah. Not so long a line, like 3 people on the line, 3 people on the line, and different counters and so on. Then somebody came in, I think from these organizations, big organizations, with a sack of money. A sack.
And it's right there. You can see that.
I could see it, so they were directed to the bulk section with their sack. Both I and the former minister looked in the direction of the sack.
Let me tell you, when I first got a job, the current job, Kati, my first salary, when it came through, I had never gotten such an amount of money. So for fast fruit, so for some reason I needed to get
All
it
of it.
all. Yeah. Alex, okuva ku bank okutuuka ku church. First of all, nasalawo sigenda kusula nazo. But this was less than a million. Naye nze
Ng'okankana.
how nga ne bw'ontunuulira otya ngamba
Sente z'abandi oba lwakubaza Katonda kye kyakweraliikiriza.
Of course, even the pride within me that, I went to the
Now,
ATM.
let me just direct you for me what happened, because the distance will help paint a picture. I got the money, then DFCU was on a building around what was, I think, formerly Spear House.
Okay.
Yeah, now I was to move from there and go to IPS building. But between there, I felt like the whole world was looking at me and wanting to snatch the money from me.
Yes, no. So you can understand why someone with such bulk may
But
seemingly
of course, it's
fear.
discouraged. It's discouraged for you to try to move around with bulk money. So if somebody has 2.4 million dollars, you remember the guy who they stole 5 billion from around there in Uganda? And then they began distributing it and so on. Then the person who stole was also stolen from.
I never heard of that.
Yeah,
story.
it was a very interesting story making rounds here in Uganda. And they were asking, what were you doing with 5 billion in your home?
Where they broke into this person's home and they were reporting the money. I remember, is it the same story where the amount that was taken, someone reported less than
I think
was actually,
if I remember. Yeah. So there you go. But those are the effects of corruption. Here I was telling you a story in Ivory Coast where our next president was also making, I think in Gabon as well, making away with money that they had stolen, and they were arrested. And that amount of money can destabilize an economy. Did you know that? In cash.
It being injected back or being held?
No, taking it out. Because remember, the intention usually is not to keep it and begin spending it.
Yeah.
They want to move out of the country with it. You get it?
Yeah.
And it is illegal. I know one famous rich person in Uganda who was arrested for carrying $10,000. At the time, it was illegal for people to just trade in foreign currency then, because actually the central bank at the time was the only one supposed to give you permission to do what, to trade in forex.
Okay, but part of his bail conditions are he has been ordered not to contact witnesses or interfere with them. And I wanted to ask you, do you see that that is a possibility? But also he must stay at a fixed address and must inform the police if
About
he
movements.
if he decides. But with such money, can't you pay your way around him?
I don't know.
The fact that anyway he's being held on such charges, maybe not
Maybe
in this country.
Maybe not. We'll run tugendeko mu Canada. Mu Toronto Airport awagudde ennyonyi, amawulire amalungi gali nti buli muntu yagibaddeko yawonye. Wabaddeko abantu 8 kubo, kwabaddeko abasaabaze 76 n'abakozi b'ennyonyi 4. Tekuliko yakoze eki yafudde. The interesting bit about this is the airport authorities have said we are grateful that there was no loss of life and relatively minor injuries for those that got injuries. Now, 18 passengers were transported to hospital in total. Ontario Ambulance Service said that they had dispatched 3 air ambulance helicopters to help in the scenario. The patients in critical condition were a child, a man in his 60s, and a woman in her 40s, but the rest of the people were not critically injured. Now, some people got out phones to show that scene there and said, we are here, our plane has just crash landed. Now, you obviously see the weather there could have contributed to the crash, but how it turned upside down is a question you wonder about. Okay, how it turned upside down. Now, what they're spraying is foam to prevent any explosion. Or so you notice that they're spraying too much foam from the other side. The airport was closed shortly after the incident, but flights in and out of Toronto, Pearson resumed at 17 hours local time. And the Transportation Safety Board of Canada, TSB, said they were deploying a team to gather information and assess the occurrence. And 2 runways remain closed for several days for investigation. And passengers have been told to expect some delays as they go about business. You see, the aviation industry is very, very complicated. An incident like that can cause people to have flight delays for days.
Yeah, just one.
Just one like that, because you don't know where you don't know why the plane crashed. So they have to investigate and find out, was it a mechanical problem? Was it a weather problem? Was it a runway problem? Was it everything? They have to investigate all of that. But also dispatch information to whoever wants to come to that particular airport, that either go and land at a different airport or things like that. Very, very complicated business that.
Looking at it, I'm just thinking about the goodness
Of
God.
God.
That only 3 people
injured, not even dead. They're not dead.
They are just injured, and then also mildly, it's not serious, just like you've reported. So that is what I keep on thinking about. Wow.
Other planes would explode. We saw one that landed in water and exploded. No survivor. It was in the US. I forget the lake upon which it landed, but no survivor. It had just taken off and then it crash landed.
And also, when you talk about the aviation business, I was also looking at how hot it is in Uganda, and yet there it's still snowing. My goodness! But when you talk about that, for me, I like to refer back to tourism, because I see most of these, you get your guests who are being affected by flight changes and things like that. Brussels has also been having some issues. I think they had a standoff or something of a sort. They were, so like you said, just one incident, it takes it all back. Yeah, because
it has a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It begins here, but then you begin seeing it spread all over the place, and it's quite troublesome when that happens. But thankfully, no lives lost. Glory to God for that.